Hi, all YouTube friends, see you again. This time, we will discuss how to grow tomatoes. 5 ways to plant tomatoes that are good and correct, anti-fail. Planting tomatoes can not only be done with potting media. There is also a technique for growing tomatoes in polybags and being able to produce dense fruit. However, there are certain techniques for planting tomatoes in polybags to work well. How to grow tomatoes is generally done in pots. Tomatoes can grow well in large areas of land or even just planted in pots with good soil media. So, what is the correct technique for planting tomatoes and producing lots of fruit? Here's the full review. 1. How to plant tomatoes. Selection of tomato seeds. There are various types of tomatoes, one of which is fruit tomatoes. This one tomato is slightly different from a physical point of view when compared to vegetable tomatoes. The size of the tomatoes is bigger and has a slightly sweet taste. Usually this type of tomato is widely consumed as juice. There is another type of cherry tomatoes. This one tomato is usually used as a snack like grapes. Cherry tomatoes are considered healthy and widely consumed by Indonesian people. To get it is easy because it is readily available in supermarkets. The first step that must be taken when you want to plant tomatoes in the field is to choose the seeds first. Choose the type and variety of tomatoes to plant. It's good to adjust the type of tomato to the location of planting. If you have a large enough area, planting tomatoes can be done in an artificial garden. Also pay attention to the climatic conditions and altitude before choosing the type and variety of tomatoes to be planted. Don't forget to use superior seeds from trusted sources. 2. How to plant tomatoes. Seeding tomato seeds. The next way to plant tomatoes is by seeding tomato seeds. If the way to grow bananas starts from the shoots, tomatoes can be grown directly from the seeds. However, if you want to plant tomatoes using polybags, the seeding steps must be done first. Prepare a place and nursery media in advance. Try to protect the place from direct sunlight or rain. Types of seed beds can be in the form of seedling racks, seedling polybags, or other media that are almost the same as how to plant chilies. Next, follow the steps below. Make an array with a depth of about 1 cm and a distance of about 5 cm for each row. Immediately plant tomato seeds or seedlings in each row with a distance of 3 cm, then cover the surface. Water sufficiently twice a day while being careful when watering so as not to damage the surface of the nursery. Wait some time, at least 1 month before the transfer period. 3. Transfer of tomato seeds. In order to bear fruit, tomato seeds that have been sown must be transferred to a permanent medium. Prepare planting media and polybags in advance. Next, fill the polybag with husk charcoal, compost and soil with a ratio of 1:1:1. Do the removal carefully from the nursery media. The trick: first flush the nursery with water so that the planting medium becomes soft. Insert the plant into the planting medium in an upright position. Adjust the depth of the planting hole with the length of the roots and trim. Apart from using tomato seeds that can be purchased specifically at farm shops, tomatoes can also be grown from fruit. Planting tomatoes from fruit only needs to take the seeds, then do the same steps as when sowing tomato plants. 4. How to care for tomato plants. How to care for tomato plants that are good and right is to do only watering and fertilizing. In fact, caring for tomatoes grown in polybag media will be easier because the plants avoid disease transmission through plant roots. Try to keep the planting medium from getting too dry by watering lightly twice a day. If there are dead plants, remove them immediately and clean around the plants so that the freshness of the plants lasts longer. 5. Tomato Harvesting Guide. After 3 months, it seems that the tomatoes grown in polybags can be harvested. However, depending on the tomato variety, for example with the servo tomato, the harvesting process can be shorter because this type of tomato is a disease-resistant hybrid tomato. Tomato plants with good fruit cannot ripen at the same time. Tomato picking can be done every 2 to 3 days when the fruit has changed color from green to yellowish. Or, ripe tomatoes can also be seen from the edges of the leaves that have turned yellow. Maybe many have realized that the world of gardening is growing rapidly. Many new inventions that facilitate gardening activities. Some of them are the discovery of hydroponic growing techniques in polybags and new varieties such as rainbow chili. You can also grow tomatoes hydroponically. With this technique, you can harvest tomatoes every 3 months. In fact, how to grow tomatoes is not complicated like plants or other types of vegetables. Like how to plant ginger, which requires selecting seeds and waiting for a long harvest time. It's easier to practice the technique of growing tomatoes, isn't it? So, those are the stages of how to grow tomatoes that can be directly applied to your home or garden. Be sure to understand in advance the various planting instructions, the good tomato plant care techniques so that they produce lots of fruit at harvest. That's all and thank you, hope this is useful, and don't forget to subscribe.